So, Billboard has a list of the greatest pop stars of the 21st century. And most people figured that 1 and 2 will be Taylor Swift and Beyonce, which is totally fine. It's their list. But for me, if I was putting together this list, I think I would have Beyonce at number 5, and I would have Taylor at number 10. Now, I still got in the top 10. I'm not a big fan of hers, but I'm not discounting her impact. But of the artists that's on this list, I can't put her ahead of a lot of these folks here. So but let's say I'm stuck with Taylor and Beyonce at 1 and 2. Who would the rest of my top 10 be? So number 3 on that list would have been my number 1 overall, Rihanna. I've always argued that Rihanna has made more complete albums than Beyonce, and she made better albums than Taylor Swift. If you would have said like Rihanna's won 4 albums of the year, I was like, absolutely. Like Upon the Replay, her first single came out in 2005. So that'll be 20 years that Rihanna's been in the game. And I can't think of one bad Rihanna album. I can't think of a Rihanna album that didn't have a bunch of hits. Rihanna, of all artists of this era, of this Taylor Swift, Beyonce era, to me, she's been the most underrated because she was putting in work, and we will probably be still getting great albums for her if it wasn't for her Fenty empire. But you can make far more money doing lipstick and lingerie, sitting at home with ASAP and the kids than going on tour and exhausting yourself. So I totally understand why she doesn't make music anymore. But at her peak, there's nobody better than Rihanna. My number 3 would have been my number 2 overall, Kanye West. Controversy aside, I don't know where hip hop would have been. I don't know what pop culture would have been, or even fashion, if it wasn't for Ye. And if you argue with me, he's not that good. Only thing I have to say to you is College Dropout, Late Registration, Graduation, 808 and Heartbreak, My Twisted Fantasy, My Beautiful Twisted Fantasy, and Watch the Throne with Jay-Z. It's not up until Yeezus that we start debating if that's a good album or not, and Yeezus was underrated. Kanye West is one of the greatest pop stars ever, and one of the best hip hoppers ever. And I'm good at just pushing aside controversy and just looking at the artistry. I don't know where we'd be without Ye. Even today, we need a Kanye today to kind of push hip hop forward. Kanye push hip hop forward. There's nobody pushing hip hop forward right now. You got Tyler, the Creator, but he's not as big as Ye. So they need a Ye. Number 5 would be Bruno Mars. On this list, they got Bruno Mars at number 20. There's no other artist in popular music today where you miss an artist, where it's like, man, where's Bruno at? And then he comes back out. There's been 2 spots he did that in. Like around the early 2000s, like 2019. It was like, man, where's Bruno? And then he drops Silk Sonic with Anderson .Paak out of nowhere. One of the best R&B albums of the past 10 years. Then he disappears after Silk Sonics. Man, where's Bruno at? 2024, he drops Dive of a Smile with Lady Gaga, which should have been nominated for record and song of the year, not just for one. And he also dropped App with Rose from Blackpink. This dude was doing nothing but chilling, and he dropped 2 of the biggest songs of the year. His paint game is fantastic. The first time I saw Bruno Mars was in 2009 on one of my favorite songs, one of my favorite videos all the time, Nothing But You by B.O.B. That's 2009. That's 15 years of excellence from Bruno Mars. So he's my number 5 all time. And again, on their list, they have Lady Gaga. I love Gaga, but I just don't think she's consistent enough to be in the top 10. But I love Gaga. I do. But I can't have her in the top 10. Number 6, I got Eminem. The Marshall Mathers LP dropped in 2020. And he should have won Album of the Year for that album. And in 2024, he has The Death of Slim Shady, where he has the song Jelly Roll. I think Somebody Save Me, where he's apologizing to his daughter for being Slim Shady as far as like his addiction issues and not being there for his daughter because he's out touring. Like, there's no other person in hip hop who's had as much growth from the time that he was as a young man to him being out going to be a grandfather than Eminem. One of the greatest videos this year is, I think it was on Complex, where Eminem is interviewing from 2024, is interviewing Slim Shady from 2000. It's AI, but it's mind-boggling when you see where he was with his platinum blonde hair and jeans and white tees, where he is now with his beard and just being a father of a bride. It's an amazing run. So he's my number 6. Number 7, they got The Weeknd at number 18. I've always argued that The Weeknd could have won an Oscar for Earned It from 50 Shades of Grey, and he could at least have at least 1 or 2 albums of the year. After Hours is one of the best albums of the 21st century, and should have won. And he should have won Album of the Year, and he should have won Best Record in a Song for Blinding Lights. For the life of me, it seems like the record industry hates The Weeknd. Why, I do not know. But to me, in this Taylor Swift, Beyonce era, he's right up there of artists that could have very easily won an Album of the Year. Up there with Ariana Grande, where he is just as prolific as Taylor, but for some odd reason, the industry doesn't award him as such. Number 8, Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber could have very easily been a one-hit artist with Baby. Could have been. But then his last big hit, before he disappeared, was Peaches. You don't go from Baby to Peaches without having a great ear for pop music. Like Justin Timberlake had that ear early on, and Bieber has that same ear, but he's even more prolific. That this kid loves music. Okay, let's take away his own tracks. He was early on the Afrobeats phase when he jumped on Essence by Wizkid. He didn't have to jump on that. He was already Justin Bieber. There was no reason for him to jump on Afrobeats. Afrobeats wasn't a big thing, but he jumped on it because he had that ear. Even if we go back, like Shabuzi, I think, has the record for longest #1 record. I mean, it's a good song, but But for a moment of time, Despacito by Louis Fonsi had the record for the longest #1 single. And Bieber jumped on that, and he made that song a bigger hit, just like he made Wizkid by Essence a bigger hit in this country. Now, these songs were already hit songs around the world, but he made it bigger songs in America. Justin Bieber, I think, has been grossly underrated as an artist. Number 9, I'm going old school. I'm going Britney Spears. I love a Britney Spears. Oops, I Did It Again came out in 2000. My favorite song about Britney has always been Toxic. That came a few years later. At one point where people, as much as people love Taylor Swift, that was Britney Spears. And even more so, Britney was iconic. And again, Britney wasn't the best dancer. Britney wasn't even the best singer. But she has this mystique about her. And just like with Bieber, she was really good at picking hit songs like Slave for You, she did with the Neptunes. Like she was that chick until she shaved her head. But even she came back and then she came up with Give Me More on the pole, looked like a drunk stripper. Give me more. Give me. It was sad. But then it's like, but she was kind of resilient then. Now she kind of, there's something wrong with her. Like, I don't know what, but that whole Southern Belle, that cute Southern Belle thing that she had back in the 2000s is just gone now. And I miss that Britney. I hope she gets better. But we can't forget the impact that Britney Spears had in the early part of this century. Like, she was that chick. And I got Drake at number 10. I had to move Adele out, which I didn't want to do, but I had to move her out. And I had to move out Ariana Grande, which I didn't want to do. Because I think just like with The Weeknd, Ariana Grande has been just as prolific in this Taylor Swift album era. But for some reason, they just don't want to give Ariana any type of awards. And I don't know why. She's a better singer than Taylor. She has as many hits as Taylor. She's made just as good of albums as Taylor. But for some odd reason, they will not award Ariana Grande. So unfortunately, I had to move her out to put in Drake. I had to leave Aubrey in. They had Aubrey at number 4. I had to keep her in the top 10 because there's no other prolific hip hopper from 2009 to 2024 than Drake. The first time I heard Drake, he had the mixtape Best I've Ever Had, and Kanye directed the video, and he was on Forever from LeBron's More Than a Game soundtrack, which is still a great song. Aubrey has put out so many singles. It would be so difficult to just make one greatest hits Drake album. It's almost impossible. And 2024 should have been this year. At the beginning of this year, he had First Person Shooter with J. Cole and You Broke My Heart. This should have been that year, but he dissed Kendrick. And when he dissed Kendrick, then we get Not Like Us. But if he just took that diss out, Drake would probably be starting to get like Vanguard Awards and Legend Awards. He'll probably still get it in a couple of years, but man, Kendrick gave him that left hook. and Drake has not been able to recover from that. But yeah, Drake will be my number 10 because there's no other rapper that is as prolific as Drake these past 15 years. So what do you think of my list from 3 to 10? If you were putting together this list, who would be your number 1 and 2? Let's say if it's Beyonce, great. If it's Taylor, great. If it's Rihanna, hell, it could be Adele. It could be Drake. I don't know. Tell me your top 10. Man, I love music.